to care enough to do something about it. Anyways, I think it's pretty obvious my answer was, no, you guys are really being ridiculous. And I was a lot gentler than I'm being now because I really do care about them, but at this point I feel a little betrayed. Now, a little less than a week later, and none of them will return my calls, but they text me here and there with things like, leave her and come back to us, and we want what's best for you, and blow isn't it. Could they be any more corny? I thought I was supposed to be the dramatic Les that overprocessed. I mean, geez. But I've taken this time and told my girlfriend, or well, ex, I guess, that we need to chill out for a bit, which kind of sucks because she was a sweetie, but it doesn't kill me. So I've had all this time to think about things, and I truly have no idea what to do, which is petrifying me because I'm used to not needing anyone. And now that I do, I don't have anyone. A piece of me feels like they have just misinterpreted my habit for a drug problem, which I can understand because drugs are scary and all that, but another piece of me feels like I was doing this for 5 years and you've waited till now to decide it was an issue. Conveniently, when I meet this girl they don't like, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. I wasn't exactly open about it, but I felt like some of my friends admired how independent and hardworking I was, and I didn't want to promote drug use among any of them. In any case, I don't really know what to do. Should I cut them off? Should I try and make them understand? Thanks for the time that you've put into reading this letter. You're welcome. And I'm sorry it was so excessive. No problem. Not dazed, but very confused. Val. Well, you sound really isolated. And I've always known that isolation is kind of a synonym for the disease of addiction. And I can certainly relate to thinking I didn't have a problem. And I also know that if I'm thinking about if I have a problem or wondering if I have a problem with using drugs, that there might be a problem. But I don't know. Ultimately, nobody can stop somebody from using drugs. There has to be a willingness on their part. I mean, I could lay it out and look at the damage it's done or claim that it hasn't done any damage, but if I'm still wondering why all my friends have dispersed, why I'm stuck alone, why I'm obsessed with wondering why I might have a problem with drugs, something needs to be done. That's just my take on it.
Yeah.
That was well said.
Yeah, and she sounds like she's saying she has no question that she doesn't have a problem.
Yeah.
But it also sounds like, Val, that you spend a lot of time organizing around your relationship with Coke, which you said yourself was your longest and most stable relationship to anything or anyone is to a drug. Now, I hear you saying that you're not the kind of drug user that goes on benders. You're the kind of functional drug user that gets her bills paid and takes care of her responsibilities and isn't borrowing money from her friends and okay for whatever that's worth. The other side of it is you're still spending a lot of time and energy organizing around how to keep that relationship to that drug. And if it truly were a non-issue, as it sounds like you're trying to say, then I don't believe you'd need to spend all of this time and energy organizing around keeping your relationship with this thing.
On a purely physical basis, what Coke is doing to your body. And, one of the reasons we were saying that Renee Vivien died is because of her drug use. Your body isn't made to take this kind of abuse. Mm-hmm. Your nose is going to start corrupting at some point. You're already saying you're getting nosebleeds, which means that means the membranes inside your nose are wearing down.
They're burning
But
out.
only on winter.
Only in the winter.
Well, okay, so the air might be a little drier, but nobody just gets nosebleeds. And if you're doing Coke, I can tell you that I used it recreationally, or I like to term it recreationally, for a very long time, where it became not disruptive to my life. I still functioned, but I had a horrible experience where I had been doing it all night, all the next day, took a train up to my friend's parents' house, did it on the train with my friends, did it in my parents' bathroom at Thanksgiving, And then we got a call. My friend didn't make it. We got a call from the hospital. She got in a car wreck. We all had to go to the hospital, and I was standing in the hospital with all these nurses and doctors around me, and my nose just started gushing blood. And I first of all was so mortified, you know, because I knew that the doctors at least knew what was going on. But it was also really scary, and I think you have to stop and think about, if your nose is bleeding, the alarm has to go off somewhere inside, just from a purely physical deterioration aspect.
Yes. Your reaction to "but only in the winter"
Yeah.
was classic. It was that reaction of knowing that we make excuses when we want to continue doing something. We find the other rationale for what's going on.
And justify
And
it.
it's normal. You know, what you're doing is normal. We don't mean to be harsh with you, and we don't mean to. I know that hearing what we're saying is probably landing on you hard, because it's probably not what you wanted to hear. But it is the reality of the situation, and it is the truth that you are finding ways of rationalizing your use of cocaine. Because even if it's not disrupting your life, like Jane has just pointed out, it is starting to disrupt your body. Even if the added factor of the winter and the cold, dry air was necessary to make the bleed happen, the bleed happened. Your body didn't adapt to its own environment. You have to take that into consideration. It's not just because of the winter. It's because this drug is in your system and it is deteriorating your body's functions, albeit slowly, in a way that you're noticing slowly, but it is happening, and you're only 19 years old.
Yeah, it's insidious.
It
Yes.
is insidious.
And it talks about, you said something about, well, maybe it's not disrupting your life, but you're writing this letter.
Or maybe that you don't feel it's
You don't feel it's you're not in ways that she believes are like the functional ways.
Right.
Paying bills, getting to work on time.
Yeah.
You know, you're taking care of X, Y, and Z. But go ahead with your thought.
No, just simply that, you know, if your friends have abandoned you and you feel abandoned, that's, to me, a disruption of life.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yes.
life-affirming activities usually include having friends and having connections and communication, and not staying in an isolated obsession with what's wrong with me and why doesn't anybody like me.
And the beauty is, too, that, I mean, I can speak for myself that I've had the problem. And, you know, you're not alone. I mean, and I would have gladly said, no, everything's fine. This is just for fun. It makes me feel good. I come up with great ideas. I'm aggressive. I get a lot done. But, you know, having stepped out of it, I can look back and go, oh, well, I see that really wasn't the reality. And truthfully, I know that a lot of people started getting away from me because I was just so wacko on it. They didn't want to, they couldn't figure me out, you know. I could tell you stories, but anyway,
it does change the way you make sense of the world around you too.
Yeah.
The way you're looking at the world around you.
Yeah.
Reality is different in your perspective than it is to the people around you.
Yeah.
You'll have a completely different logic which is why you said they thought you were wacko.
Yeah.
I'm sure that the sense you were making of the things around you were different than
I
what
thought
they...
it was brilliant.
Yeah.
I did. I thought I was really brilliant, creative, you know, on top of things. But the reality was, when people were like, "What?" Huh?
Yeah. Aside from the nosebleed, which is the symptom that you can see, imagine what could be going on inside of you that you can't see. The other membranes in your body, the other functions of your body that are being affected that you don't see yet, that are a slow build. And also, and most importantly, because this is your peace of mind and your brain function that you're talking about, you are changing the neurotransmitters in your brain. You are changing the way they are produced. You are changing the way they function. And you are changing the way they find their homeostasis and their balance. So you have become dependent on this drug in a way where you need it now to create its own balance, the balance that your brain is no longer creating on its own. You can get that back if you stop using the drug, but there's going to be that harsh time where everything is difficult and confusing. It'll take time.
Yeah.
But the longer you use a drug that's changing the way your brain functions, the more your brain is going to hardwire in that way, and you're really messing with the delicate system.
Yeah. You say they threatened to tell my parents, but I'm 100% sure they wouldn't even be able to find them, let alone get them to care enough to do something about it. And that sentence really struck me, because I feel like that says to me, you're seeking, you know, you want your parents to step up and say, we love you, we're going to fix this for you. And then I wonder where